All right, we're playing some T4 here. We got the Glen Monarch Estates are in T4, and I've got one of my teammates here, Andy99. I think this is the first time me and Andy have ever played friendlies. See if we can get some of those Glen Monarch holes. I haven't played the Glen Monarch holes since the 9-hole cup. See if I can remember how to play them. If I can remember how to play this hole right here. There's a max overpower hook shot on this hole. Let's see if I can remember how to play it. Maybe. That is a tough side to go to there, Andy. That's tough. And even if you get out into the area that you're looking for out there, the second shot is brutal. There is a little path that you can go through on the trees over there, but it's tough. Let me see if I can remember how to play this. I might be able to remember how to play it. Let's see. I think I need this bag right here. No. Need this bag. I need a Titan. Maybe. I think I come out. If I remember correctly, I'm out in this area right here. Let's take the wind out. Let's put it all on. I think I need to go out a little bit farther. Oh, and when you're doing a max overpower hook shot, it's helpful if you actually do the max overpower hook. That's funny. Funny. That is funny. That's when you're in a mode where you're doing max overpower hook shots, and then you get on a hole where you're just doing a max overpower shot, and then trying to remind yourself, whoa, this isn't a hook. And then on those ones that you're doing max overpower hook shots, like you're focused. We're always so focused on trying to hit perfect and reminding yourself that, wow, that's a max overpower hook shot. So first shot of the day and in the drink. That's okay. That's all right. That was a great effort from there getting over into that fairway. Great effort. Let's try that again. Let's try this again. Let's try and remember that we're doing a max overpower hook. Let's try and remember. I think I need to be a little farther out, if I remember correctly. And there's no guarantee that I do. Let's try that again. And let's see if we can do the slice this time and hit that little. It may take me coming here. There we go. That's the spot. Getting out into the rough. Now, if Andy can sink this, I'm toast. But if he can't sink it, we're up. You can get up from that rough over there with a Nirvana. So I was a little too hesitant on that. You need to go. I believe the spot out there is the transition between the sand and the rough. And I went kind of the transition where the water and the sand was at. So if you come in just a little bit, you can make that swing and you'll get a nice forward movement, and you'll end up in the fairway up here. And on that particular shot, you'll end up in this area right here, and you have a serious look at albatross. I mean, this isn't one of those holes that you normally come out and use the word Albion, but if you can get up to the front of that fairway back there, you got a really good shot. 0.07. I'm going to do about a little less than half a ring, maybe like a third of a ring. Somewhere between a third and a half. Just try and hit it straight forward. Hitting it one ring great to the right. And it'll drift when it gets onto that. Just a bit short. Just a bit. it'll drift when it gets up. Once it gets on that on the green, it'll roll forward a little bit and it'll start to drift to the right. I think the last time this was in a tournament, I actually did get an Albie in the. I'm not sure if I got in the weekend round or in the opening round, but from that shot out there with that big topper, we started off on this hole using an extra mile, and then kind of worked the deal. And I'm not too sure that I wasn't using a kingmaker here because it gives us a little more side spin, but I'm not sure if you can get any more side spin. I have to go back and watch the last tournament that this hole was in. But normally, if you can get out there, if you've got a Nirvana in your bag, it doesn't matter if you end up in the rough. You can just go get on the green and get your eagle and go home. And for this hole is a difficult hole. That's a difficult hole for most people just to get an eagle on. I don't remember this hole at all. Oh, yeah. I remember this hole. And I don't have to, I usually like to play this with a Guardian and just stick it onto the green. But that big dog ain't going to cut it. It's not going to cut it. 1-9, that's about one ring. One ring. I should just go up there and do a dunk. Hitting it perfect. I don't think there's enough curl there to bring it back around. As much movement as there was on the hole there. If you've got a Guardian in your bag, you could probably do it with a sniper, depending on which way the wind's blowing and what kind of ball you've got. But if I had a lower power ball, you could probably get that done with a sniper or a Guardian. But I like the Guardian shot because you can start in front of these moguls and you don't have to. If you're in these moguls and you pick a spot that's down in the trough at the bottom, and then you hit it a little bit off to the left or the right, or anything goes wrong, or you make a bad wind adjustment, and you engage those moguls on the hill, then your ball trajectory is you're going to end up going like way to the left or way to the right. And so if I can that's one of the reasons why I like playing this hole with a Guardian is because you can get in front of all those moguls and you can backspin it right to the cup. Good game. Good game. Let's do some rematch action here. We'll play for as long as Annie wants to play, or an hour, whichever comes first. Glen Monarch Estates, hole 5, par 4. This is not one of the holes that's in the tournament, but this is also another hole that there's a max overpower hook shot on, and I can't remember exactly where it's at, but I'm pretty sure I was using a katana. It's been so long since I played some of these holes. We'll have to. I think it was with an extra mile, and it was with a katana. I think we're putting on just about everything we can. If I remember correctly, I want to be out in this area right here. So if I remember correctly, I was out kind of like on the sand right here. We will see. Usually on these max overpower hook shots, it takes me 1 or 2 times of hitting them, and then I pick a spot out there. I pick spots for doing max overpower hook shots because then it becomes real consistent, and then you just work the wind out, and you can overshoot it like that. The deal there is you can put a little less topspin on it, and you'll bleed up. It's hard to. You don't want to go towards the cup because you want to just end up out there on the fringe where you've got a chip to get on. So if you watch Dale Appleby stuff, he knows how to do, like, there's a ring thing. So like if you're with certain clubs, you'll go like 14 rings over, you'll go 20 rings over. I have no idea. I don't do that stuff. What I do is I pick a spot out there. I kind of eyeball it, and it's kind of a feel thing. And you've got to think about the club that you're using and how much curl that club has. So if it has more curl, then you're going to have to go out more rings in order to compensate for that curl. And A lot of times I don't know what those how many rings and stuff there you're supposed to go out. I just kind of do it by feel, and I'll find a spot, and if it works out the first time, it works out the first time, and if it doesn't, then what I'll do is I will look to where it landed and see whether I need to move my starting spot to the left or the right. And what I normally do, like if I'm really trying to dial that hole in, is I will make a big swing at it. Make a big swing. That's going to roll off. That's going to pick up speed and roll off for dang sure. So I'm just going to backspin that up there. And let's see if we can get that in. Yeah, not when you don't hit. Perfect. So I'll usually go to those holes, and then I'll take the first one at it, and if I can remember the spot, because I've done a lot of these max horsepower hook starts in these holes, I've done them, but I just have to try and remember like what ball or what club and where the spot was. So I will wing it the first time. Like if I go down, like if I was going back and was going to play Tour 5 and play that tour for a couple weeks, when I was trying to get my last summer, I was working really hard because I wanted to get my Nirvana, my Rock, and my Hornet to level 8. So I played Tour 5 like every second we weren't playing in a tournament. Whenever I was playing one-on-one, I played Tour 5. And that was the only tour that I played because I was trying to harvest cards out for those clubs. And because I was playing it consistently, getting on those holes, then you just start figuring them out and remembering where the spot is. And it usually takes me a couple of times of doing it, and then I've got it dialed in. And then from that point on, it's pretty consistent as long as you've got, where we got 2 shots each. As long as you don't have a headwind. So if you've got a headwind and you're doing those, then it becomes max horsepower hook shots are affected pretty big time by headwind. So as long as I have a side wind or a tailwind, any kind of side wind, and even if it's a mild headwind, you're usually pretty okay. But you start doing max horsepower hook shots in a headwind, and I find that they get affected quite a bit. So it's harder to do them. You either have to bring out the next ball up to kind of compensate for it so you land in the same area. But it usually takes me a couple times to dial them in. It's like artillery. And then once I get them dialed in, then every time I go to that hole, I just set it up in that spot. I know, like you're going to be on the transition between the sand and the rough. You take the wind out, and that means that you'll be in that, it's going to end up in the same spot on the other end. Dale and I talk about it because that's the difference. That's like we approach max horsepower hook shots totally different because I'm a spot player and I take the wind out so that I'm trying to make it consistent, and he uses the wind in it, and I have no freaking idea how he does that. I have no clue because the wind's going to move it, and I don't know how that works. And it's just a different way of looking at it, and neither one of those ways is right or wrong. And I wish that I knew how to do it the way that he does it by like using the wind, like on how the wind's going to affect it. Because if you think about a max horsepower hook shot, if you had a tailwind, when it leaves the tee, the wind's going to be pushing it. But when it makes its arc on the hook, now the wind is side wind, and so it affects the ball differently. Man, that is a rough bump with that wind. So there's 1, 2, 3, 6, 4, 8, and I'm going to go a little just because we're on a headwind. I'm going to go maybe a 10% pull and see if that was enough. Or if I got that wrong and I missed the rough entirely. I got it wrong. What I should have did there was what I should have did there, Andy, was move that over to the left so that I had more fairway and I wasn't dealing with the water at all. And if it had pushed it back, I still would have did a rough bump. It still would have hit the rough instead of trying to get into that narrow little spot right there. Parc de Paris. That's the cool thing about. There's not a lot of players that like when you go up. If you're trying to max out and get max trophies, you're going to have to learn how to effectively use those max overpower hook shots, because when you're playing from the third tee, and even when you're playing in Masters, and there's a and we can't get over there from here, so might as well drop it down. So you can land here and go, you can land over here, you can go here and try and get up. You can try and get over there, but I find that to be the worst of all worlds. Because it's super hard to get over there. 4, 6. I'm going to do a full ring set. I'm going to put a bunch of curl on it to bring it back over to that fairway. Try and hit it perfect and just try and bleed it up onto that other fairway. I don't need to get crazy. I tried to do some max overpower hook shots on this, and I practiced them quite a bit, and I can't remember. It's coming this direction, coming out on the right-hand side. I started it off. I ended up out there in the the sand way behind these trees right here. And then I finally was able to work it up so that I ended up in the rough up here. In tournament play, we're going to bring a big ball here, more than likely like a 4-power ball, and land on this fairway and try and bring it around this way to bring it up to the cup and try and get on and one. It's a difficult shot, but it's worth the price of admission, because if you get up there, you're there. You can work that shot. It's just that it has to be set up right, and you have to hit perfect. As long as you're in the fairway out here, you are good to go. That is good to go. Good to go. What I got? Sniper. Sniper. See if we can hit the flagpole and get lucky. 2, 3. Yeah. We're at Min Club, so I'm going to just do a small adjustment. I'm going to slightly short shoot that. Hitting it perfect. See if it'll stick. Hit the flagpole. Just trying to see if I could. You can, because of how steep this hill is coming into it, it's almost a rough bump. That's why it was stopping so close, even though that club doesn't have that much. It's got backspin, but it's not like a Guardian. The reason it was digging in so much and it was stopping so fast is because it doesn't, this picture right here, this angle doesn't accurately represent how steep that hill is coming into the green. And so basically you're hitting the hill, you got the hill like this, and the hill comes down, and you got the green, and you're hitting the hill on the downward slope. So when it hits, instead of it bouncing up, it's skipping forward, and it literally digs itself into the green. This is a tough hole to do these chips. You need to practice these chips on this hole, because how it responds on the green it's different. See how big this bowl is? And so if you come over that hill and you hit that, it just skips across, and then the second bounce literally just digs into the green. This is one of those greens that the greenskeepers don't like, because it leaves huge divots. Huge divots. Play for a little bit today. I got some work to do, so we're going back to we're setting back up, going back to work next week. We're always slow to start, and then once the season picks up, it'll be the big 12 to 16 hour days in the hole. Nice. Good game. Good game. Let's see if we can not end up in the water this time. I used to do this hole more on this side right here because you can feed it up, and you don't want to be short here because if you're short, it'll roll back down. But I've tried to the last few times I've tried to set this shot up, the last few times it's been a tournament where I'm more in the center of the fairway. And there is a wind adjustment that we need to make here, and I can't remember what it is. It's probably like 10 or 20%. It's not much. Maybe. I'll do a 20% and see what happens. That's a nice. It'll roll off a little. Nice job. This is a hole that in tournaments pisses me off over and over because it's one of those holes that you're always right there. You can get really close to it. See, in order to get it to go to the hole, you got to come over a little. I think I normally use a katana here, so that's 1/6. I'm going to do a 2-ring pull. That'll be like a 20% over pull. No, and then I hit it 700 rings great to the right. And ended up 0.67. 0.67. I would have liked to have seen where that would have went if it was perfect because I don't know. This is just one of those holes. This is one of those holes that always frustrates me because I'm always like right there. And you make adjustments for it and you do the thing and you hit it perfect and you're in the same spot and then bam, you're just a little off. And then you come back and you make an adjustment and it always seems like you're just a little off. This is a brutal hole. This is a tough hole for eagle. And there's a max overpower hook shot that you can do on this hole as well and get way up here in the front. But traditionally, you can come here with an apocalypse or an extra mile, and it takes like 2 top spin. It doesn't take a lot of top spin because if you put any more than that, you'll bleed off into this rough, and you can very easily find yourself either in the rough or it'll bleed off, and you'll end up in that sand right there. And you can't get on. I mean, it's hard enough to get on if you're not in that rough. If you're in the fairway, it's still hard to get on. It's definitely a hole. A big dog works really well on the second shot. Even with bigger stuff, a big dog works good on the second shot. Even if you bring out a Titan or a Kingmaker or some bigger ball. So when you have a Marlin, it's definitely tough to get into the spot. I don't know. I really like to bring this, but I don't know if I have enough raw distance to get me over there. I suppose I could do a little rough bump. If I swing that around and I put any curl on it, I want to make sure that in this narrow part down here, I'm still clipping the rough. I don't know. Let's see, 3/4. It's a little over 1.5 rings. It puts me about 1 ring into power. Put a little bit of curl on it. A little bit of overpower. Hit a 1 ring great to the right. See if I got the overpower right where I clip the rough and just bleed out into that fairway. There we go. I would have liked a little bit more forward distance, but this is the only bag that I have a big dog in. So if I bring any of the other stuff, then I have 0 chance of getting up there. And he got a good shot there with being able to engage that with his sniper. A lot of times on that drive, you'll find yourself further to the right from where we're at. Maybe same distance, but further to the right. And with your red line if you brought a sniper, it's hard to reach this fairway. And so you're either bouncing off and then bouncing over, or it's difficult. This is definitely a hole to bring a big hitting wood. So if you've got a big dog or a cataclysm in one of your bags, this is definitely if you can get it done with that driver, that club will. The driver might hurt you. So like right there, the driver wasn't the best driver for that, but it would have been better if I could get out a little bit more distance. I'm going to go about this much. Let's take the wind out. All right. Hitting it perfect. I have no idea where that's going to go down there. Trying to bleed through that rough and get out on that fairway so that I have a chip from that side versus the versus the chip from the other one. That'll work. That was about as good as I could have got there. It could have been better, but on that type of shot right there, just getting over to that side right there and giving myself a nice little wedge chip was the goal. You want to be able to engage that fairway that I was having a hard time getting to with the red line. You want to engage that fairway more on the right-hand side so that when you're shot to the cup, you're way to the right so that you can bring it to the left and bring it up to the cup. When you have to engage it from the left-hand side like I was doing, then you put all that sand into play and it's hard to weave and bob it to get it towards the cup. So basically your best option is just to try and lay it up kind of where I'm at and give yourself that chip. Nice shot. Nice shot, man. That was a nice shot. Nice shot. Let's see if we can get this in. My max club. Max club's out there, so I'm pretty close to it. We can do I could do try and do the little topspin stuff and try and bleed it out there, but there's a lot of movement on this green, so I'm gonna just try and go right at it. Somewhere in the 1-3 per ring, so we're about 3/4 of a ring. Oh, and I hit it great to the right. Ah! And I still got it in the hole. Luck. Look. Can't be good, be lucky. That's the motto. That should be my channel's motto. If you can't be good, be lucky. You're going to have to put into the chat there, Andy, and let me know if Andy's low on coins, because I don't want to strip my teammates of coins going out here and playing these holes. I haven't played these Glen Monarch. Like I said, I haven't played these Glen Monarch holes in a long time, and I like the Glen Monarch course. I liked it when that was in. I liked it when the game first came out, where you would anything that was in Tour 2 was in Tour 7, anything in Tour 3 was in Tour 8. And so you could play, you got an opportunity to play some of these older courses like the Glen Monarch, like Greenock Point, these older courses that have been around since the game came out aren't available anymore in Ricky. And it's kind of sad because some of these holes, especially like the Greenock Point ones, those are my favorite holes. Those really teach, if you're a new player, those holes, they teach you about curl. And curl, when you go up the ranks, is a huge part of the game. Being able to do blind curl shots and setting stuff up and learning how. I see a lot of people using curl and they're not using it effectively because curl's not represented in your ball guide. And so, man, I don't think I can get over there. This is really the shot. If I put too much curl on it, I'm going to be way the hell off. I want to clip that rough a little bit because in order to get over there, I'm going to put all that topspin on. But if I end up over here, if I put too much curl on it, then I'm going to be sunk. I'm going to come out a little bit for the wind. And I'll try and do a rough bump, a second bounce rough bump. We'll see if that, or if I cleared it. If I cleared it and it misses the rough, there you go. It'll get me out there kind of in my, maybe one of my short iron range. You can get up there in tournament play because we know which way the wind's going and you can bring out a bigger ball. You don't have to put all the topspin on it. You can end up out there in kind of your probably mid wedge range, max wedge range. There is a shot that you can do going from this side right here, but what I find going from the right hand side, trying to get up there, the last time this hole was in a tournament, I came at this hole from the right hand side with a power 5 ball and was on the green in one and missed the putt both times because you end up here at the top. And I was trying to dial that shot in so that I didn't get on the green. I was like right in front of it so that I was below the cup. Because the shot from the top of the green, this green has such a big hill on it that from up here at the top to try and get past this little drop in the course right there was impossible. The putt was one of those ones where you had to pull it so far off. It was brutal. It was a brutal putt. Okay, there's min. There's max. So we're about mid. So that's 1.9 per ring. 1.9, that's about a 1-ring pool. 1 ring and a sliver. Just try and hit it perfect. And I hit it 1 ring great to the left. And if I was going to hit it one way or the other and it still go in, 1 ring great to the left is the side. Not quite. Had too much speed on it, so it rolled through the break. If my speed would have been right there, as it goes down that hill, it breaks to the right. And so that 1 ring great to the left, if my speed would have been right, I had a pretty good shot of it going in the hole, but it was going too fast and it powered through the break. Next time this is in a tournament, I'm going to continue to try that power 5 shot because you can get, if you go back and rewind, you can get over to the fairway. You can get over on the green side of the river. And there's a little pocket up there by that sand that you can hit and go over that sand. And if I can get the topspin stuff right so that and I did, when I was practicing that shot originally, I ended up below the cup and I liked it a lot. But in the weekend round, I did the same exact shot setup and ended up on the upper corner of this green, and it was brutal. Missed 2 putts for eagle. And if you ever end up in that spot and have to take it, this is the thing I'm talking about. From up there, it's like this. I mean, it is hard to get the ball to go to the cup. Really hard from up there at the top. Because in order to get the tip down there, it wants to be a mile. It's going too fast. And it would have been better for me to actually get on the fringe or and have to take a chip. I would have had a much better shot with a chip than with the putt. And I'm not the best putter in the world, but that hole right there, I don't care how good of a putter you are, it is tough. All right, this is one of the holes that we're looking for that's going to be in the 2020 St. Patrick's Day. I think I have a sniper in this bag. Do I have a sniper in this bag? Maybe. There's 3 ways that you can come at this hole. You can do the shot where you're bouncing over. You can do the rough bump, and you can also come in from this side right here and curl it over. If you're playing from the upper tees, sometimes this shot on the left-hand side, well, that's not like a shot that you're going to do all the time. That's a shot where you'll bounce it in here and then you'll swing it back around. It's important to practice all 3 of those so that you have them in your bag. So if you get caught with the wrong wind or the wrong clubs, you have 3 options to go in on this hole. But the rough bump is money. This is definitely a hole-in-oneable hole with the rough bump. With my Guardian. I'm going to do mid Guardian, so it's going to be about 1.5 per ring. Just going to dial it up to that edge of the cup. 1.5 per ring. So we're about a half a ring. Just try and hit it perfect. Oh, my perfect timing today sucks. I need to let it go through a couple times and let it settle down and get my speed right. That's definitely the way to go at it, is with the rough bump. I've done all three of the shots, but the rough bump was definitely the way to go at it. Good game. Andy's probably hating me. We're just practicing, Andy. I'm gonna go into the team chat and type in there. Are we okay? Are you okay on coins? Let's see if he goes first. Let's see who goes first. I always like going first. Maybe. There we go. I go first. And what do we want to do here? What I want to do is I want my second club to be a sniper. And I know the shot going around it on the right hand side. So the second shot on the trees, I know that shot really, really well. I'm going to do a 10% wind adjustment here. So 3-2, that'd be 3, let's say 3-6. I can get it lined up right. I'm going to lean just a little bit to the left. Hitting it perfect. The shot going to the right-hand side around the trees is a backspin, sidespin, curl shot. But what I'm trying to do is I know that shot really well, but I think on this hole, we might, the deal is if you're coming at it from the right-hand side, it's not that you can't get an eagle on it, but it's one of those blind backspin, sidespin, curl shots, and if you get an eagle on it, it was like 99% luck and 1% skill, just because you were able to set the shot up to begin with. But I think that we might have a better shot at getting an eagle on this hole if we come at it from the right. But the right has some dangers, those trees. You can come at it a little bit more on you're not engaging the hill. There's a backboard on this green, and you can engage it a little bit more where you're not using that backboard. That's why you got to do the 10%, because ask Mike D, our clan president. He on this hole right here. He hates this hole because he always ends up in that sand, and you definitely have to do a wind adjustment here. And coming up, and this is where a 3 side spin ball really helps, because you can try and come up. That's scary right there. No, I would normally try and bounce underneath the trees because I'd have a 3 side spin ball, and I'm going to blow off the back of that for damn sure. But I'm going to try it since he's in the sand. I'm going to try it. So instead of using the backboard, I would try and go underneath the trees and bring the ball right to the cup. Just a bit on the inside. And the deal there is that even if you hit it, you're going so fast on that. You can see how steep that backboard is. You can see how steep that backboard is. But normally what I want to do there is bring a bigger side spin ball and actually come underneath the trees. And you can see where the cup is at. It's flat down at the bottom. And if you can come at it from underneath those trees and go straight at the hole, you're not engaging the backboard at all. And you're just trying to run it right up to the cup. But to really get the right angle on it, you really need a bigger ball, and you need a ball that's got side spin on it. So a katana would work really, really well. And I think that's what I play on this hole, is a katana. You play a katana or a kingmaker. So it's marlin Katana Kingmaker or White Ball Navigator Titan. Is he behind? I'm going to let him catch up. Let him catch up so we can force a shootout so we can get one of the par threes here. And if he sinks it on me, he sinks it on me. The high percentage way to go here is to go to the left, but where he's at right there, it's probably easier to go to the right. And you can go underneath those trees and you can do the thing. But if you come at it from the left-hand side, engaging this fairway especially works well if you've got a guardian or a sniper that's got upper developed. You can bounce it over from here and bounce it over and try and run it up and use that backboard to feed yourself to the hole. I just want to practice the shot on the left-hand side so you can get used to it. So if you're in one of those situations where you didn't get the distance you're looking for, or you didn't get it, you've got another shot in your bag, another way to come at the hole. Because you see people all the time, they come out to a hole and they're not in the right spot. The wind's not blowing the way they wanted. And the only shot that they have in their bag is the shot that they can't get to because of those things. And so coming on these holes and trying out some of these other shots is key, because if you get out there in one-on-one, you have more options than your opponent. So you have multiple different ways to go at it. Don't get married to one shot. There's some of these holes that there's a shot that I really like to take that shot, and sometimes I put myself in a spot and I'm like, damn, I can't take my shot, so I'll have to do something else. And a lot of people force the issue and then end up epic failing, as opposed to just stepping back, taking the secondary shot and rolling on to the shootout. Get in the hole. Get in the hole. Good game. Let's see how much time I got on my video. I got enough for probably one more hole after this shootout. I think we've only gotten one of the holes that we're looking for. Oh, we got two. There we got. See, this is why when you're out there with your teammates and you let them catch up and you go to the par threes. We're on one of the holes that we're looking for the St. Patrick's Day tournament, and there's 3 ways to play this hole. You can land on this island here and bounce over. You can do the rough bump, and with this wind and that where he's at as far as red line, that works perfect. Or if you've got a guardian in your bag, you can try and stick it up on the green and like take it right to the cup. And you can see here where, because of how it troughed, there's a funnel that goes right through the middle. And this is definitely one of those holes that if you hit it great to the left, in many cases, you'll end up to the right of the cup. And if you hit it great to the right, you'll end up to the left of the cup. But if you're right on that funnel and you hit it great to the left or the right, and you had the setup right where you're right down through the middle of that funnel, you could end up, this is one of those holes where you could end up, because of how that funnel works, making the shot. And I like to be wedged. I like to start wedged up. And I'm going to feed it just a little to the cup. One 1.5 rings. I think we're supposed to do a wind adjustment here, but I can't remember. No. Then you hit it great to the left. Have I hit a perfect shot today? I don't think I've hit anything perfect. And you can see how I hit it to the left and it ended up to the right, because it's going through that funnel and everything's going down towards the center. So if you hit to the left, you engage that hill and it throws the ball to the right. And if you hit to the right, it hits that hill and it throws everything to the left. We've got time for one more. Glen Monarch Estates, hole 8, par 4. This hole here, we have a serious chance for eagle. And I'm going to practice this because I'm here. I know the shot. If you get up here, you can take a Hornet. If you watch my walkthrough and playthrough on this, and I set up a playthrough list for the St. Patrick's Day tournament from previous tournaments. Let's check Andy out real quick. 14,000 games. Got some games in. Nice. Played in a lot of tournaments. It's been playing for a long time, as long as me. That turkey right there is the 2017 Thanksgiving tournament. That is an old tournament. And that pumpkin is the 2017 Halloween tournament. That was back in the day when the tournaments came out. When the special balls that we used to get, they'd offer us special balls, like the 2017 Labor Day ball. I still have some of those balls because they're like Power 3. They're nothing special. They're just, they're nothing special. Okay, let's bring out an extra mile. And let's start off, let's check out some red line distances here. If I put on, let me try a Power 4 ball. Yeah, that's the club. And we might be able to swing that with a Power 3. Let's try it with a Power 3 and see what the deal is. So we're about that far off. Hit it one ring great on the inside, one ring great to the left. And see like what kind of bleed we get with that extra mile through that rough. So a Power 4 ball there would have gave me the extra little bit of distance that you could get up with a Power 4 ball. You used to have to bring, with an extra mile, you used to have to bring a Power 5 ball in order to get over there, and it was super inconsistent. But a Power 4 ball right there may get you right on the green so that you can get just a chip in for eagle, as opposed to having to take a minimum short iron. So I usually play from the side that Andy's at and try and get into that same area so that you're in minimum Hornet. And I find from that side, you've got a little bit, you can run it up the green. If he pans back a little bit, you can see from the side that I hit, if you were trying to chip over to that fairway, it's a little shorter and it's a little side hill. I think with a Power 4 ball, next time if we get on this hole, I'm going to bring out like a firework ball or something and see if I can actually get up on the green just by doing a max overpower shot. Not a hook, not anything special. See what the deal is. One of the things I like about a Nirvana is it hits. It's got a lot of topspin. So you don't want to put that topspin. If you're staying on the green, you can't do this Nirvana like you do a lot of clubs. You don't want to be on the green, because if you're running that topspin out, you need to change transitional surfaces so it slows it down. Otherwise, it'll just fly. Oh, and I hit it great to the left. It'll just fly past the cup. The ball guide's lying. But if you change transitional surfaces and you start your second bounce on the fringe, or you start your second bounce on the fairway, and you've got all that topspin on there, then the ball guide is truthful. So like if you were on there with your rapier and you were on the green and you ran out the topspin, wherever it's terminating, that's correct. But that's not correct with the Nirvana. But one of the reasons I like the Nirvana is because it has a lot of topspin, and you can do that same kind of shot right there. The benefit of that is that the closer I can bring the ball to me, the less wind is going to play a factor, and the more accurate the club gets. So you could catch a one ring great to the left or the right and potentially get that to go into the hole, especially if you hedged your bet. So like if that day you were hitting, it's like every damn thing I'm hitting is great to the left, move the ball over a little bit to the right, and that way a perfect and a great to the left might go in, and if you hit to the right, you're going to totally miss it. This hole right here is brutal. I don't know that I have enough backspin. Do I have enough backspin to stick it up there? This hole is brutal. You could very easily end up on the backside. 3-2. very easily. And put on curl or some curl. Isn't it perfect? That was too much curl, I'm sure. And if you roll off the back, you're sunk. You're in the sand. Not enough backspin on there. I usually come at that hole with a Saturn if I'm going to take the shot on that side. And you can put a lot more backspin on it. And you can guide it right to the cup. But it's very easy to end up in the sand. And there's a lot of people, like in tournament play, you'll see a lot of people play from the other side over here and run it up to the cup and sinking hole-in-ones. But you've got to get your speed right if you're hitting from this side, because if you blow past the cup, you're going to do exactly what I did, and you're going to end up in the sand on the backside. It's been a long time since I played this hole. Trying to remember. Bounce around from tour to tours like forever, wherever the tournament holes are at, trying to bounce around and playing those tours. So I don't have, like, when you go up to a tour and you're playing that tour, you're playing that tour, especially if you're trying to max out the trophies. And awesome job. Nice job. Nice shot. Nice shot, man. The crowd goes wild. Where is the crowd goes wild? Crowd goes wild. I might have time for one more. One more. We'll see. If the video just all of a sudden ends, thanks for watching. Glen Marker States, hole 1, par 4. This is all 3 of our par 4s. We have serious opportunities to get eagles on, and this is definitely one of those holes. I think the last 2 par 4s are at the one we just played in this one. And then I think the first par 4 is on Drew Moore Links, but we have a serious shot on all of them of picking up eagle. And we really want to, as the week goes on, like really focus on trying to dial these par 4s in. The last 2 par 3s have serious hole-in-one shots. We want to dial them in. We do have some Albie looks on all 3 of the par 5s. But these par 4s to me are critical. Those 2 par 3s are critical because it would be nice to get some gravy and go out there and roll and potentially pick up a hole-in-one. But I really want to pick up those 3 par 4s. If you can pick up the 3 par 4s, you are in. That is money. I'm going to aim. I like to aim towards that rough, the transition between the fairway and the rough. That's probably too much topspin. We'll see. It's about a half a ring. I like to aim towards that transition, and then I'm going to put some curl on it to bring it back to the fairway. And I hit it great to the right. And I end up in the rough. Look at that. That was a 2-ring great to the right. A 1-ring great to the right, I would have been fine. I could have put a little teeny bit more curl on. I had a lot of room down there from where that second bounce was at. And it would have bled me up to the top. I probably could have hit a 2-ring great to the left and a 1-ring great to the right, and I would have been fine. So a little bit more curl. But I will continue to set my shot up where I'm right looking at that transition. And the reason that I do that is because if you put curl on there and you get your curl right, the ball's going to go left even if you hit it right. But if you don't put any curl on it and you hit it to the right, it's going to the right. Okay, the first bounce is going to be to the right, and everything after that's going to go to the right because there was no movement on the ball. But if you set it up where I set it up and you hit it great to the right and you had the curl right, you're going to end up going to the left no matter what. The ball has no choice because you put curl on it. Let's see where I'm at in my club. There's Max. So we're about mid club. So I'm about 6 per ring. I think I'm taking a little bit of wind off. So I'm going to do like a 1-5 pull. So there's 3. So we're about a quarter of a ring. Hitting it perfect. Let's see if I got my wind adjustment right. Let's see if I got my wind adjustment right. In the hole! Your rough iron and your sand wedge are the most accurate clubs in your bag. They're not the most accurate clubs in your bag when you're at distance, but they are definitely the most accurate clubs in your bag when you're short up. All right, I will end the video here. I may start up another one if he wants to continue to replay. All right, thanks for watching.